Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. My name, if you don't know already, is Dr. Alex Watson, and I am somebody who has gotten out of a lot of debt. Okay. Now, having a doctor come before your name doesn't come without some struggles. Okay. If you know, you know. So, when I graduated from university, I had $140,000 in student loan debt. 140. When I met my husband, he was also in pharmacy school. Something that we both carried afterwards is student loan debt. So together, jointly, we had $300,000 in student loan debt, and we paid it off. We paid it off in August of 2020. Okay, August of 2020, we became debt free. It was a journey. It was a journey. And it was so dope because after we got out of debt, we actually were asked to be on the AO show, which, if you haven't heard of it, it's Anthony O'Neill. And he basically just gives tons of financial advice to people, as well as allows people to come on his platform that can share their stories of things that are helping them on their journey to debt freedom and to building wealth, and to just stepping up and breaking generational curses and stepping into generational wealth. I will link in the description below the actual video to the episode that he interviewed us on. And it was just a really good experience. So after that, I had in my heart, I'm like, man, I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to show people the things that I did and that we did that helped us get out of debt. One thing that I want to talk about right now is that this is not going to be about the tactic. I will get to the tactics, but this video in particular is not about the tactics because I truly don't believe that the tactics are the problem. I think that people know that they want to get out of debt, and I think that there are resources out there, but there's something missing. And that's what I want to talk about here, because there are five things, five things that I wish that I knew when I started my journey to debt freedom. And I want to share them with you. I think that it could be valuable for you. And maybe you're on the fence of like, man, am I ever going to pay this off? Maybe you're one of the negative Nancy's that I've heard in my, basically ever since I graduated from college, saying, oh, it's impossible, like I'll never pay them off, or whether you're indifferent about your student loans at all. So let's get into it. I think I might do half of them in this video and then half of them in another video, because I don't want to make this crazy long, but I do want to get across the information that is important for me to get across. Step number one, we're going to start with why. I really, 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 really think it is so important for you to understand why you even want to do it. So the first thing that I needed to understand and think about was, what do I want my life to look like? And for me, it did not include paying Sally out of every single one of my paychecks. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, get out of my pockets, get out of my bank account, stop peeking in. Like, I don't want you in my life at all. That's how I felt. Like, I was mad, and I used that anger, that unjustness, that unfairness that I felt at the time, to say, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. And to be honest, I was one of the few. I didn't know anybody else who was taking this journey with me. I didn't know not one person who was like, all right, yeah, we got to get out of this student loan debt. This is crazy. Instead, the verbiage that I was getting from people was like, it's insane. I'll never pay it off. All of the things, right? Like, I'm just going to have it until I die, and then they're not going to get paid back, and all of the things like that. What I want to implore you is to just think about what you want out of your life. What do you want it to look like? What things do you want to be able to do if you want kids? What things do you want to be able to do with them? What do you want them to be able to have? What type of future do you want for them? And what type of legacy are you leaving? Do you want to create generational wealth for your family? Are you breaking any generational curses that moving forward are going to help your family down the future, your kids down the future? When it starts with why, I want you to think deeper. I don't want a surface level answer. And I'm going to put some questions in the description box below that you can go through and kind of journal through. Because even if you're on the fence about doing this, I think this is going to help you get some clarity. And basically, what you're going to do is you're just going to, your first thing that pops into your head, okay, this is why I want to get out of student loan debt. And then we're going to go deeper. We're going to dig deep and figure out the big reason, the one that you can hold into your heart that's going to keep you going through the hard parts. Because I promise you, as soon as you decide to do this, there are going to be obstacles that pop up, because that's the way the enemy works. As soon as you decide to do something good, something positive, something that's going to positively impact not just your life, but your family's life and everyone around you, the enemy comes. So I want you to start with why and know your reasoning so that you don't give up, throw in the towel, so that you don't decide, oh, to put it off into the future. This is why this work is so important. And I think that it's going to benefit you and your family. Now let's move on. What do you even believe about this debt? Okay, what do you believe about this debt, the student loan debt, the personal debt that you have? Do you like, I know people out here always talking about, oh, there's good debt and there's bad debt. Let me help you. If you don't already know, student loan debt is not one of the good ones. Personal debt from credit cards, it's not one of the good ones. Okay, Sally Mae is not going to pay you a dime. Okay, you're not going to gain wealth from this debt sitting here hanging over your shoulders. So let's get that. Let's clarify that. Now, when you follow those prompts that I put in the description, I want you to pay attention to your last three answers and what emotions they invoked for you. Those emotions are what you are going to need to pull from in order to continue through this journey. So now that we've gone through your why and you understand why, now we want to move on to getting into why you must, right? Why you must make this happen. So now you have some emotion tied into the reason behind why you want to do it. And now you just want to seek wisdom and like, okay, let's add some fuel to this fire that I've created by invoking some emotion. I want you to put in the comments below just your feelings or thoughts about student loan debt. I really want to hear from you guys, and I want to know exactly what you feel about it and what you're thinking about it, because I think it's going to impact how I'm able to serve you in the future, because I want to make sure I can give you the things that you need to move forward that are going to help you in your life and create more options for you and your family. One of the first things that I did was I realized, you know what? I went through all this school. I have a doctorate degree and I never received any instruction on finances. I never received any instruction on how to pay off all these student loans. So not only am I in over $100,000 in student loan debt, I'm not receiving any instruction on how to go about paying it back, right? And even taking ownership of it was something that was hard for me, right? Because I felt like it was unfair. I felt like I shouldn't have even been able to sign up for so much debt at such a young age when I really truly did not have a full understanding of what I was signing myself up for. And so I had to set those feelings aside and decide, you know what, this is debt. This is my debt. This debt is in my name. And I'm either going to decide I'm going to go down the journey and pay it fully off, or I am going to deal with having to make these payments and end up paying way more than I even owe, right? Because let's not forget about the interest. You're getting charged interest. So you're going to end up paying much more than what you owe if you drag it out and only make these minimum payments. So I just had to think about that and decide for myself, you know what? I want more. I want more for my family. I want to figure this out. So for me, that looked like figuring out, what does God have to say about this? Can I tie it to something bigger than me? Can I tie it to something that aligns with the path that God said I am capable of going down, right? And that He has for me and my purposes. So I looked into the word. When it comes to what God had to say about debt, it led me to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7, and Proverbs chapter 17, verse 16. So the first one is, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. So the borrower is slave to the lender. It's, if you're someone who's biblically based, I'm going to take that as fact. And I don't like the thought of being enslaved to anybody. Okay. So, Sally Mae, you got to get off my back. I got to uncuff these chains because that's what it's giving. It's giving chains. It's giving I'm cuffed up. It's giving I'm on a line with a bunch of other people. And I don't like that. So, number one, I was like, I'm not trying to be the borrower, I'm trying to be the lender. Okay. So, that was my first thought. And then the second verse says, of what use is money in the hand of a fool, since he has no intention of acquiring wisdom? Mm. So not only do I not want to be the borrower, I want to be the lender. But not only do I just want to be a lender, I want to be a lender who has wisdom, because otherwise you could be a fool. You could just be a fool with money. So when I thought about these two verses, it's like, okay, I need to find the truth, and I need to recognize that sense of conviction that I feel inside of my body when I do hear the truth, and I need to take action on it, right? It's not enough to just feel it. It's not enough to just feel like, oh, dang, like I probably should. Like, it's not enough to have that feeling and to feel convicted about something. You have to take action. That's like one of the most important things, is when you feel that, is taking action. And so for me, seeking wisdom meant that I was going to write down those verses, I was going to meditate on them, I was going to remember them, I was going to pull from those verses throughout the journey. I am not a borrower. I am not a borrower. I am not a slave. I am someone who builds wealth. I am someone who lends to others. I am someone who has abundantly more than I could ever need, right? So I had to just start to rewire the things that I was saying about myself so that I could disassociate from this personal debt that I had acquired. It's not it is mine, but like it's not going to always be there. It's not going to be attached to me. I have to detach from it, and I'm going to get rid of it so that I never have to identify with that again. Okay? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? The last thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is I'm going to tell you that it's not about what you need to do necessarily when it comes to paying off this debt. It's more about who you need to become. And this who you need to become is going to be the way that you actually apply the tactics and the strategies, and you come out successful, right? You come out victorious. So you're already there, you're already victorious. So let's get that in our heads right now. You're already going to succeed. So if that's true, who do I need to become in order to be the person who can reach that success? So let's dive more into my story. When I was 18 years old, I received, well, actually, I was probably 17, but I received a full ride scholarship and to this university, to Hampton University, the real HU. Okay. So now, when I signed up for this at 18, I didn't realize that my 4 year full ride scholarship was going to fall short because I had decided to go through a graduate program. So it turned into 6 years total. So after 2 years of undergrad, I stepped into this grad program. And at that point, there was a gap in the funds because my 4 year scholarship was to get a regular degree, right? Like to get my bachelor's in whatever I decided to get it into. But because I was stepping into a graduate program, there was a gap. Graduate school versus regular university, there's a difference in those funding. So I found myself at age 20 signing up for student loans. And by the end of that 4 years that I was in grad school, I had accumulated the $140,000. Now, we can sit here, or I can sit here, and I can feel all the motion that I felt and that I still feel, if I'm being honest, about the circumstances that led to me getting in that much debt, about how I had no idea what I was getting myself into at that time. But it was time for me to make a decision. Would I believe that the same God who was faithful to me and helping me get through the roughness, the hard, the seasons that it took to get the degree, would I choose to believe that he would also show me that much more favor and grace um, when it comes to paying off the student loans that it took to get the degree? And I had to decide if I believed that it was possible for me with my lack of financial knowledge, with just having no idea which direction to take, with my lack of confidence and even following through in a timely manner. Like, how long would this even take? Type vibes. Those are the things that I had to think about and that I had to make a decision about when it came to paying off this debt and if I was going to go down this path or not. So, like I said before, this journey is less about the tactics and the strategy and more about who you have to become as a person in order to follow through and to actually follow the strategy all the way to the end. So, when you actually send in that last payment and you get to say that I am debt free, I do not have these student loans on my back anymore. I have gotten myself out of my personal debts. I have decided that I am the type of person who is a lender and not a borrower, that I am the type of person who is creating wealth and abundance in my life. And there's some questions that I just want to pose to you to end this video on. And we're going to get into part 2 soon. So stay with me because I want to get this off out of me. Okay. I've been holding it in. I've been thinking about it, and I'm happy that I'm just sitting down finally to talk to you and talk it out and walk it out. Okay. So these are the final things that I want to leave you with. Who do you need to model to become the type of person capable of sticking to the plan long term? Okay. That's the first one. What mindset must you develop to create new habits, boundaries, and rituals in your life to help you stay the course and not allow others' plans for you? Okay. Can I get an amen? Not allow other people's plans for you to get in, to interrupt your plans for you, because that happens a lot. 3, what self growth books and tools do I need to read to fortify and protect the resolve that I feel right now to keep moving forward every time I mess up instead of giving up? These are the questions that truly matter. So I want you to think about it and decide if you're willing to put in the work that it's going to take to turn your dreams into a reality. So, to end, where do you see yourself? I know where I see you, but where do you see you? Because I see you as someone who is able to raise their hand and say, I got rid of all those student loans. Okay. I got rid of all my personal debt. I'm debt free, baby. And then you get to move different. It feels different. Do you want to be in a position of power where you get to make the decisions for your life based on what's most important to you? Or do you want your circumstances and all of these debts that you owe to other people? Because let's be honest, that's a form of slavery, right? Because you owe this, so you have to then therefore take these actions to pay these people back. What state do you want to find yourself in? And if you are like me, which I know you are because you're watching this video, and you're someone who's like, no, Alex, I want to be the type of person who is able to lend to others. I want to be the type of person who doesn't have to think about how much I'm spending at the grocery store right now because I also have this student loan and all of this debt that I need to pay off. I want to live the type of life with my family where my kid wants to be in 3 sports. They can be in all 3 sports. They don't have to pick just one because I don't have the funds to get them the jerseys and the shoes and all of the things that need to come to pass in order for them to play the other sports. I want to be the type of person who is able to choose to live in a home that my student loan debt isn't going to impact how much the size of what the size of my home is even going to be, because this loan is going to impact every single aspect of your life for the rest of your life if you do not make the decision to get rid of it. Okay. So I want that for you. I see that for you. I see you being able to take some time off work if you want to and not be driven by what society says hustle culture is and grinding. And I want your family to be set up for success. I want you to have more options in your life. And so that's why I feel like a great first step for anybody is to get out of personal debt and especially your student loan debt. So thank you. Stay tuned for part 2. If you're coming to this video later, I will link part 2 in the description box so you can go straight to it. There's 2 more things that are so important before you start this journey that you I want you to get in your mind, that I want you to understand, that I want you to have captured and have heard, so that you can have success when it comes to the tactics and the strategy and the things that it takes for you also to get out of all of that personal debt and that student loan debt. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.